Welcome to a new episode of Delphine Circle, where we uncover the mind, body, and spirit of success. Subscribe now for free to receive updates on the latest interviews. Then, sit back, relax, and tune in. Hi, Wendy, and welcome to Circle.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be with you today.
Yes, I know, and I'm so excited that you invited us to your beautiful Caliray house. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's just my little hippie surf shack. So anytime you want to come over, just swing on by.
Woohoo! I might just take you up on that.
There's usually champagne flowing at night, so come on over, or kombucha, one or the other.
Okay, well, I'll know to come at the evening. Wende Zomnir, founder and former creative director for Urban Decay Cosmetics, and most recently, founder of Caliray Beauty.
Yes.
Woohoo! Well, we met recently at a luncheon hosted by The Route Beauty and Riviera Magazine. It was super awesome with so many gorgeous, amazing women
That was
there.
a really fun afternoon.
That was so
fun. Yeah.
And I am so excited to meet you because coming from the beauty world, I absolutely, truly understand the impact that Urban Decay had on the beauty business and the cosmetic industry, and it was really a game changer. So before we jump into your baby, Caliray, do you mind if we go back and talk a little bit about
I love talking about Urban Decay and the good old days.
Yay!
I really felt like those were magical days. We were changing the world of beauty.
You absolutely did. And as I was reading more about the history of that, I was pretty in shock to know that, well, it started in the 90s and you came from the advertising industry. We actually have so much in common because I worked in the advertising industry, specifically in youth and alternative marketing.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
So that's a funny thing. But you had no retail experience. You didn't come from a world of cosmetics and you decided to launch your own cosmetic line. What made you decide to take that leap of faith?
So I think that is a great story about women mentoring and supporting other women. And I know that is a hot topic today, but it wasn't really like that in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So through a couple of friends, I had met Sandy Lerner, and she was the original tech entrepreneur. She and her husband, Len, her ex-husband, started Cisco Systems in their living room as they were grad students at Stanford. And they had kind of moved on from there. And Sandy had this idea to start a makeup company. And I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And never in a million years could I ever have imagined going up against the big mega beauty industry. I know people look at beauty now. They walk into Sephora, Ulta, all of these places, and they think oh, look at all these cool indie brands, right? There's a new brand all the time. Well, back in the mid-90s, it was not like that. Mm-mm. Makeup was not the Technicolor dream it is today.
And what people didn't know is that there was a few companies that owned everything. You see Estee Lauder, but they owned Clinique, they owned Origins, they owned even Bobbi Brown.
Right, and L'Oreal was the same way. So, yeah, you basically had two big companies, and never would I have ever thought that I could break into that industry. I had been obsessed with makeup my whole life. I got sent home from school in 8th grade for wearing too much makeup. And it's even a bigger deal because I grew up in Texas, so that's a really hard thing to do. So anyway, Sandy really gave me the confidence, oh my God, of course we can break an industry. Who doesn't do that? And so I think it was pretty unusual to have this mentorship situation where she really, was let's do this. I'm here to support you. And I kind of went and just broke everything. And it was great.
Well, and as I understand it, Nordstrom was your first account.
Nordstrom was my first
You didn't
account.
Start small.
No, Nordstrom was my first account. I did start just in the San Diego region, and then expanded from there. But it was definitely, yes, an unusual first account. But I have a little story behind that too of just being resourceful. My boyfriend at the time had this friend who was a swimsuit rep, and I didn't know anything about retail, like you said, right? I didn't know anyone in the industry. I didn't know who to call. I didn't know any merchants, buyers. And he was a swimsuit rep. And so he had been surfing, in North Laguna, came over to take a shower before he did his sales calls. And he left his buyer list on my desk, and it was all Nordstrom buyers. So while he was in the shower, I called all the buyers and got the names for the cosmetics buyers. And he left and was never the wiser. But that's kind of how I broke into Nordstrom, was being a little scandalous.
Yes, sometimes you have to be very diggy.
Yes, resourceful. That's how I like to say it.
Well, I worked at Nordstrom in cosmetics in the 90s. And I remember they were very conservative. We had to wear nylons every day. And I think back about your brand was so bold. Your brand was so colorful. Your brand was so like edgy. It was very different than the Estee Lauder brands that I worked for. And I mean, were you worried that this was not going to be accepted by the mainstream market?
Well, I was worried it wasn't going to work at Nordstrom a little bit because it was so conservative.
Mhm.
I did feel like Nordstrom was a good place for it back then because they had MAC.
Mhm.
So they sort of understood this idea of being a little edgier or more of a makeup artist point of view. So I
Mhm.
thought it could be a really good fit. But pretty soon after that, Sephora came to the US. And that was really our big break because all of those big companies didn't want to go into Sephora, right? They wanted to keep their same department store distribution. And for us as a small brand, it's really hard. They had, salespeople. Those brands had salespeople they paid to be in the stores. It was really hard to get attention on your brand without these, enormous investments. So Sephora really gave us the opportunity to, reach a lot of people and be partners. And we really, I feel like between us and Sephora, we really did break the beauty industry together.
Wow, that's a great story. I love that. So one of the ironies is that when Urban Decay came on the scene with all the big color and glitz and glamour, it was so unique and it kind of epitomized your line. And yet, probably the most popular product of your line, in fact, by far the most popular, maybe the biggest makeup product in the history of cosmetics, was the eyeshadow palette with all the nudes called Naked.
Right.
I mean, it changed the industries.
It
Can you
did.
tell me a little bit about the story of how did that come about?
So I think we probably, just for perspective, I think we saw at the height of the Naked sales, I think we were selling like one Naked palette every 4 seconds or something. Like it was something crazy. Like you count to 4 and sell a Naked palette. But it came about because I was traveling a lot for work. I loved wearing really colorful makeup and I loved bright clothes. And so I always loved having like matching shadow from whatever I was wearing. I mean, I was the Urban Decay person, right? Of course, I had to like represent
expectations.
And so, but whenever you do a colorful eye, you still need some really great basic neutral shadows to go with it. So I was always like just packing too much stuff. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if there was just like a little like 3 or 4 pan palette that had like all those basic neutrals I absolutely had to have. And on my product development team at the time, I had a couple of other women I worked with that I really like valued their opinion and trusted, and we were all muses for each other. And so I asked them like, hey, if you were stuck on a desert island, what would be the absolute essential 4 neutral eyeshadows you would bring? And I brought in my 4. The other 2 ladies brought in their 4. We lined them all up and we were going to pick 4. And we were like, this is a really good palette. And so I think we had one dupe. 2 of us brought the same one. So we pulled that one out. And I think there was one that didn't really go. So we pulled that one out. And then we just kind of filled in with 2 new shades. But that was basically how the Naked palette was born. We were just like, yeah, these are our like critical shadows. And so
how long did that take for that to take off?
It took off almost immediately. I remember I worked with my business partner was this guy, Tim. And I remember him saying to me like, so do you think we should make Naked a promo item or an evergreen item, where it's always in the catalog? And I was like, I kind of think maybe we should just keep it in the catalog for a while and see how it goes. Like this random decision, like we could have decided it was going to be just an in and out and it would have been in and out. And then we probably would have lost all that momentum and it probably would have never been the thing it was. And I just remember exactly when he asked me that question for whatever reason, and making that on split second decision kind of changed everything for Urban Decay.
So in 2012, you sold Urban Decay.
Yes.
I mean, was that a hard decision to make, or was that kind of always going to be the exit strategy?
Well, I think it's always a hard decision to make when you've put so much love and care and effort into something. And I think what was amazing was Urban Decay wasn't, people that worked there, they didn't view it as just a beauty brand. It was a movement at the time, right? We were breaking beauty. And when I say that, I mean that before Urban Decay, if you looked at a beauty ad, it was this like beautiful woman. She was probably thin, tall, white, blonde, even featured, very like some cosmetic executive male's ideal of what beauty is, right?
Yeah, I worked for a clinic. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. And so, they were basically, beauty marketing was, you buy this product and maybe you could possibly get 1/2 of a step closer to looking like her. That would be your goal. So it was basically, the idea was to make you feel a little bad in order to get you to buy the product to look more like her. And we turned that whole thing on its head. Our whole thing was, beauty should be about self-expression. It should be about who you are. And it should not be about making you feel bad at all. It should be really this beautiful thing about like, who are you today, right? Celebration. So maybe you are into like a super clean girl, nudie-eyed look today, but maybe you want to go crazy and wear blue. Like whatever it is, it should be about you, and it should be about like, your presentation to the world. More like fashion than it should be about like feeling weird or bad or not enough. Mm-hmm. And so we never wanted the beauty marketing to be about not enough, which is why we had guys in there, right? From the beginning, in the mid-90s, we were like, it's beauty for men and women who want to show the world who they are and put their own stamp on it. That was the original line we wrote. And so I think, that's really what we tried to do with Urban was kind of break the industry. So when we decided to sell it, of course, there was this whole like, okay, we're selling to a big corporation, exactly what the movement started to stop, like stop the way they marketed. But I think you have to look at it like we had an opportunity to go to be a global brand. And we had an office in France, we had an office in the UK, and we were really successful in those 2 markets, but as an organization, it was killing us. So operationally, it just was really difficult to expand. And we really wanted to kind of take the Urban Decay message and be global. And to have a strategic partner like a L'Oreal really allows you to do that.
Let's fast forward to 2021.
Okay.
Obviously, the launch of your new product line, Caliray Beauty. I am so excited to try out some of these products with you. But what was when I sold my cosmetic line, I was like, what was your impetus to get back into the beauty game?
So I think it was a couple of things. One, I wasn't really ready to be retired. Number 2, I felt like I had been traveling around the world. And the first thing people would ask me, no matter where I went to launch Urban Decay, they didn't ask me about Urban Decay. They actually asked me about like, what's it like on the West Coast? What's it like in California? Do you guys all do yoga? Do you drink kale smoothies? It's a lot of like, you talk about like, wellness. Yes. So you're really into wellness, right? And you're going to ask me questions about wellness. Yes. And those are all the same questions I was getting asked, whether I was in Spain or Russia or Germany. It didn't matter. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, well, there's really something there, this fascination with this like lifestyle that we are really lucky to have, and this sort of fascination with what goes on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. And then I was on a surf trip with my family, and I was taking a break. I paddled over to the beach. We had like boated out to this island, and it was filled with plastic trash. And this was in the middle of nowhere. And I thought to myself, this sustainability thing, it's important and it's real. And I, as a big producer, as an Urban Decay of plastic trash, should probably do something about this. Mm-hmm. So I kind of set out on yet a new mission, right? The Urban Decay mission was one thing. This mission is to really bring joy to sustainability, to make it easy, and to really try to lead the beauty industry in a direction that is a more sustainable, business.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So what are the ways that you're weaving sustainability into your brand?
So we weave sustainability into the brand through everything we do. Like, we are a paper towel-free office. That's the tiniest little thing, but we don't use any paper towels here. And we really try to like have sustainable practices. You're a little warm today. We have no AC going in here. So there's all of that. But we also make all of our components from really sustainable things. So greenwashing is really rampant in the beauty industry. People love to say like, oh, well, I put it in glass, so it's sustainable. It's like, well, you put it in glass, and then you coated that glass in a pretty frost that renders the glass not recyclable. So, there's a lot of that. Mm-hmm. We actually really try to do things that are incredibly sustainable. So, for example, our mascara tube is made out of 100% ocean plastic. So it's upcycled. It can then be recycled. And then we also have a recycling partner called Packed. And so much beauty packaging, the difficult thing about it is it's smaller than a yogurt cup. which means now it's not curbside recyclable, right? So the machines can't pick it up. So you have to work with a specialized organization called PACT in order to, get the beauty things, those little things recycled. And the good news is they've just launched in a lot of Sephora doors. So we have a program where on us, you can mail it back and we'll pay for the recycling, but you can also drop it off at a Sephora store and recycle your beauty packages there through PACT.
Isn't that awesome?
It's awesome.
And then people are going back to Sephora because they need to replenish. So
Yeah.
they might as well drop it off while they're there. How important do you think that is to today's consumer? Do you think people are becoming more aware and more sensitive about, following brands that are more sustainable?
I think people say that's important to them, and that's the first step. I think ultimately it has to be a product they want and that they love. And so I think the ultimate decision will come down to, do I love this product? But I do think sustainability is on their mind. And that is step one, right?
Yeah.
You don't change things overnight. You change in little steps, right? There's that whole thing about the long journey starts with a single step. So that is really what we have to do. We just have to talk about it, bring it to the foreground, and then we have to make products that are incredibly great. Like they have to perform, they have to work well, people have to want to buy them again. And then we get the conversation about sustainability started, right? I don't think anyone's probably going to buy our mascara because it comes in an upcycled ocean plastic tube. I mean, there might be a few people, but most people are going to buy it because they heard it's a great mascara.
Yeah.
And then they might learn from the marketing or the PR or the package that it's made from recycled
And then they feel good
ocean
about
waste.
themselves.
And then they feel good. And then they're like, well, maybe I'll buy that again. Okay, now they've elevated their consciousness. Now it's like, a lot of times sustainability can be sort of a buzzkill, right? Like the planet's on fire, all of that. It's like almost hard to take in all that news. You almost don't want to know, right? Because it's difficult.
Well, you think of all the things that you're doing wrong, right? It's like,
Right.
oh, I'm doing that wrong. I'm doing that wrong. So then you feel guilty.
Right. So we want to be the thing you do right, right? How do we make it easy and joyful and fun? So you'll see the packaging's really bright, it's colorful, and it's really about making sustainability a joyful thing.
Yeah. Well, I love your branding. I love your marketing. It's so playful. It's so fun. It's so hip. Definitely very young, directed, but it has a freshness to it. And I think with the proliferation of social media, we have an opportunity to disseminate messages bigger than the label on the product, which in the old days was it was either a few minute ad or a label on the product. So I love what you guys are doing. It's super awesome. How big of an impact do you think that online tutorials are making on the beauty industry and the choices that buyers are making?
Right. So I think online tutorials, they've been around on YouTube for a while. Obviously, then, they were 45 minutes long. Now they've gotten shortened and shortened and shortened. Now you're down to like 30 seconds on TikTok, and you can get a pretty effective video done in 30 seconds. I think they're huge. I always said, like, in the early days of Urban, I could have never sold someone a color corrector. I could have never put that in my line, because even with all the salespeople in the store and all the education and all the materials, PR, everything you could possibly do, it was beyond people's understanding. But relating customer to customer, friend to friend, viewer to fan, you have these like beauty influencers who are able to really explain, like, here's what a color corrector does. And I'm just using that for an example.
Yep.
So it's really opened up the industry to beauty being a lot bigger than just your standard, like, lipstick, foundation, mascara, eyeshadow, right? That used to be sort of the big ones people understood and you could make money on. And now you can get into these really cool specialized products that really fit people's needs, fit what they want, fit how they want to express themselves, or what they feel like they want to, play with in their makeup routine.
Well, I think it's interesting because, we're probably from the last generation that didn't grow up with that, like this generation. They all grew up as they were learning how to do makeup. They knew that they had a resource to go to. And I think that just alone is going to give women confidence about being able to make choices and being able to apply makeup. Because let's face it, a lot of kind of insecurity was based in makeup. Women would come into the counter, come into the salon, and they'd be like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And there was an unfortunate self-esteem connection to women's thoughts about beauty and makeup. And I feel like the online tutorials are kind of changing that, giving women a sense of power.
That. Yeah, I think there was a time when a lot of women would just give up. I remember my son, I can't remember what the situation was, but we were working with this woman and she was just like, yeah, I stopped wearing makeup because, it just gets into my fine lines and runs down my face. And I was like, here, take our 24/7 pencil from Urban. It won't move. And she didn't believe me, but she tried it. And I got a letter from her saying how it changed her life. And for the first time in a long time, she felt really pretty again. And so I think that's kind of the magic of beauty, the beauty industry, is it's not changing the world or curing cancer, but it is making people feel good one person at a time, if that's what they want. And if they're not into it, then more power to you. You should feel good in your own skin no matter what.
Exactly. I love that. So I'm super excited to demo some of your products.
I can't wait to show you.
I know. We've got our gorgeous violet here. Now, I see you've just applied the mascara. Tell me a little bit more about the fabulousness of this.
So Come Hell or High Water is really, it will stay on Come Hell or High Water. It is a zero smudge mascara. So it is a tubing formula, which means it doesn't fall apart and create that raccoon eye. Even when you're taking it apart, it comes off. Easy roll off removal. It comes off in like little balls, and it will last all day and all night. You can jump in the ocean with it. So it's really great long wearing mascara, and it gives you incredible volume.
You know what I love about this mascara, and if you do apply false lashes, which I do all the time, it's nice to have a really firm base. And this type of mascara makes a really beautiful base for applying false lashes on top of it.
It does.
So
I love
it really stays
false
on.
lashes as well. And the tube, once again, is in that upcycled ocean plastic. So it's hard to believe that pretty tube was once trash in the ocean, but it was.
Oh my gosh, beautiful.
So from trash to treasure.
Trash to treasure. All right. Okay, so what are we going to do next?
I'd love to put some skin tint on Violet. I think she's got a beautiful complexion. She probably doesn't even need it, but I'm going to show her our free Dreaming Skin Tint. This is a really awesome product. It is silicone free. It is 96% natural origin ingredients. Again, this is mostly made out of upcycled ocean plastic, the container. It is a very fluid formula. So the way people love to apply it on the internet is they love to just do the little drip. It's really fun to show.
Ooh.
So I actually don't have that much in this tube. So you just show that little drip, but you barely need any. And what's beautiful about, it does smell nice.
I like the nice lightweight.
It's very lightweight. It doesn't really cover a lot, but it blurs. So it's got natural blurring ingredients. So you get that perfected complexion.
I mean, let's stop for a second so people can just see the difference between those two sides. Yes, you don't need much, but that really just evened out your skin tone so beautifully. It looks like porcelain.
Yeah. So you don't need a lot of coverage to get that perfected look. I actually have from driving, we all drive here.
Yeah.
And so I have a kind of a yucky sunspot right there. I put it on and then I can actually just take a little bit more on my finger and you can layer it and dab a little bit on that and create coverage anywhere you would normally use a concealer. It's still more lightweight, looks more like natural skin. So on someone like Violet, it just is seamless into her beautiful young skin. But on someone like me, I have some fine lines. It's nice because you're not going to get that cakey makeup that's going to settle. It's going to make your skin look perfected, but you're going to look natural and fresh all day long. So it gives you a natural skin finish, not too glowy, not too matte. It's really like one of my favorite products.
Does this have an SPF?
It does not have an SPF. I'm a big believer in applying your SPF first. I feel like a lot of products with SPF, you never really can use enough to get that full SPF protection. So I like to use a great SPF on the face first, let it soak into the skin, and then use the skin tint on top.
Yeah. Plus, there's so many people who have allergies to SPF, so it's nice not to put it into the makeup and let them use it as an option if they want to.
Right.
Beautiful. Okay, sounds great. I am super fascinated about this beautiful Just Add Raise. Tell me a little bit about how you would bring this into the picture.
So I would bring this into the picture, and we can use it a couple different ways since we only did half her face.
Yeah.
What I love to do with Just Add Raise, and you can use this on your body too. It looks really good on the body. One of our first test subjects was, we had a friend who was pregnant. It looked amazing on her belly. So it's a great, all over beautiful oil. It smells amazing. Don't tell me it smells like vacation, doesn't it?
Oh, that so nice.
Can you hold this, Violet?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's put a couple drops on my fingers too. I'm going to try it on her shoulder.
Yeah, try it on her shoulder. And then I love to use this and just dab it onto the skin like this. And then you just get an extra little glowy, bronzy look mixed into your skin tint. So she's got that beautiful glow.
And it's light because, I mean, violet's actually very fair. So sometimes bronzers might be a little bit too heavy, but it's really just blended so beautiful on her skin. I love that.
It looks really nice. Another way you can do this is to take a little bit of skin tint and then mix in a drop of Just Add Rays. Mix that together. And then obviously we only did one side of her face. So you could actually apply it as a glowy skin tint on the other.
Well, you know what I love about this is that so many girls would come in and they'd say, I need a different foundation color because I'm going on vacation. I need a different... I love when you can just add a little bit of the bronzer to your ordinarily foundation if you've gotten a little bit more color, so you're not having to buy multiple colors.
So this technique gives her kind of a more all-over glow. You can see on that side. And this, I just concentrated the bronze up here on her cheek. Mm-hmm. So it really just depends on the kind of look you're going for. And then... You
could even bring it down onto the
you
neck
can bring
and the
it
chest
onto the
and
décolleté, anywhere you want. I've even used it on my legs before.
Wow, absolutely. I can see that.
Yeah, and it's super hydrating, so it's just a really nice product.
Is it okay to use it on the lids, or is it not approved for around the eyes?
No, it's just got regular pigments in it, so I don't think it doesn't have any of the pigments in it that would be a problem for the eyes. Yeah. So you could use it around the eyes.
That glossy bronze is so popular now, especially with your eye color. It'd be gorgeous. All right. Well, that looks gorgeous. Now, what about these pencils?
So the pencils are interesting. They are a clean formula. They are incredibly long-lasting. We call these our surf-proof pencils because they really don't come off. And I did test them surfing, so you know they're going to last.
I guess I don't have to do it then.
So they do have that gel liner texture, which is really nice. They're sharpenable, so you can get a fine point on them. The case is actually really innovative. It is over 60% bioplastic. So it's made with a sugarcane plastic. So it's a nicer alternative to a petroleum-based plastic. So both the case and the formula are a more clean option.
I love it.
Yeah. These are also safe for the waterline, which is really nice if you want to get that super defined look. I love to line my upper inner waterline up here because it really makes your eyes pop. So
that's amazing because in the old days of cosmetics, we were trained if it wasn't kohl, you didn't put it in the waterline.
Right.
But now with new technology, new formulations, and you can use it
there.
Which is awesome because we all know kohl did not stay in place.
No, it does not stay in place.
It's awesome to have something that stays in place. Beautiful.
Yeah. So these also have margarita powder in them, which is just ceramides. So it's not a lot of lid you're covering with this, but the little bit you are is that really sensitive part. So it's nice to just have a little skin benefit in there at the same time.
You thought of everything.
Tried.
All right. Well, let's see how that goes on.
Okay. I will use the brown on her.
Yeah.
This is one of our... Most brands, black is by far the best seller. And with us, it's about 50-50. People really love this brown shade.
Great.
It's super unique. So I'm just going to go ahead and close your eye. And I just love to trace it. I mean, I'm just going to make her a little smudgy here so you can see it. But you can get a really nice fine line on it too. But I also love these because you have a little playtime and you can smudge them. So, you can see I used it kind of as like a little shadow. And then I go back in and darken on that lash line. And then I know Violet likes a cat eye, so I'm going to just add that back in for her.
Well, and I'm a big believer in doing the smudging because I believe that you should never really see where the line starts and stops on your lids. So that is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, it looks great on you. Really makes your eye pop.
Let's see over here. Oh, pretty. Yeah. Well, your eyes are so blue already, but
now
they're
really extra blue with that brown shade. Really makes them pop.
Gorgeous.
I usually only use brown liner anyway, so.
Yeah, it looks great on you.
All right, so I think now we need to do a little bit of lips on this gorgeous girl. Wow.
So that is our best-selling shade. That is Free Palomas. And it is a really awesome lip gloss. It also has plumping ingredients. So it's got...
we all love that.
Yeah, it's got Maxi Lip in it. So if you use it every day, a couple times a day for 30 days, you actually will see a 40% fuller pout. So
oh my gosh.
Pretty amazing.
And I love that you can see the color through the packaging.
Yeah, so we have our Dripping Sunset package. This is a bioplastic tube. And the cap itself is made from 96% post-consumer recycled plastic. So everything's had another life, or it can be recycled again.
Love it.
So I'll just go ahead. And this goes on with just a nice little slide-on tip. And it's really balmy. It's like one of those oil balms, but it's got a lot of body to it. So it's very glossy. It feels really good on. You cannot make a mistake with it. And it's just a really pretty gloss. And I use it just a little bit if I'm like doing something sporty.
Yeah.
And then if I'm going out, I like pile it on and get it super extra glossy. So you can
love
just
that color.
Yeah, the color's really nice. But just go ahead and rub your lips together. I mean, how comfortable is that? It just feels really good. Let me get that corner. Just add it a little too much. I mean,
Beautiful.
it just looks so
nice.
It feels so like balmy, right?
Smells really good.
Yeah. You can't really, what I love about it is when you put it on and you slide your lips together, you can't really feel like all the fine lines in your lips. It's just super glidey and pretty. So
Gorgeous.
Looks gorgeous on you.
We're going to check back in 30 days and see how plump you are.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. So tell us, wait a minute. I heard there's a new product.
Yeah, so we
coming
have
out.
one more new product coming out. This is our So Blown Primer. This is a collagen peptide primer. It's also got niacinamide in it to help reduce pore size and combat redness. So it's got all of these great skin benefits in it. Plus, it's super, super hydrating. And I know you like the smells, Violet. So let me just let you I'll just put a little on your finger. Turn it over. There we go. And you can just smell that. I mean, it smells like
They all smell
it
like
smells so
beach.
fresh and beachy.
Yeah, very beachy.
But you can see it just adds like a lot
wow.
of beautiful finish to the skin and blurs out all kinds of skin imperfections, fine lines, pores, and creates a beautiful canvas for your
So this
skin
goes
tint.
on over your moisturizer, under your tint.
Under your tint.
Yeah.
I actually
feels
love to put it
amazing.
on over my SPF. Just a little. You just need a tiny bit. I just put a little bit on over my SPF because, SPF can make you kind of shiny.
Yeah.
So it kind of cuts all of that shine, smooths everything out, and preps your face to either just face the day or to add a little skin tint on top.
Love it. Awesome. So where can we get all these fabulous products?
So we are sold exclusively at Sephora. So that's where you can find
Awesome.
Caliray.
Everybody knows where Sephora is.
We are in the clean section. So
Okay.
it's clean makeup. And then you can also buy it at CalirayBeauty.com.
Okay. Well, we know where to go.
Yeah. You look great, Violet.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we do a little something here called the Big Questions.
Okay.
And this is designed to kind of dig a little deeper and know a little bit more about Wendy. Do you have any consistent daily routines?
I do. So I try to do some sort of like workout every day. And the consistency is I try to mix it up. So yesterday I went on a prone paddle with a professional surfer. She took me out prone paddling. We went like almost 3 miles, which was pretty exciting. But usually I'm playing tennis or volleyball or going mountain biking with Doug. But from a wellness standpoint, every day I try to do some yoga. And I do some breath work routines. I really love Nowly because I feel like it keeps my tummy tight and like,
Awesome.
it keeps me connected to my abs to the rest of my body. So I love the Nowly breath work and I do that almost every day.
Oh my God. Well, you look amazing. You
Thank
look
you.
like you have not aged one bit. So whatever you're doing, keeping it up, man. Is there something that people would be surprised to know about you?
Well, I kind of hinted to it. I think people think because I'm like the beauty girl, the woman that started Urban Decay, and it's such a like makeup-y makeup brand, glam makeup brand. But I am pretty sporty.
Yeah.
And I do like to get outside and play a lot of sports. But the good news for everybody is that you should know is that I road test everything in the sweatiest conditions.
Well, there
So
you go.
I'm telling when I tell you the mascara is zero smudge,
Yeah.
I promise you I've tested it in almost every condition. So
I love
it's
it.
definitely zero smudge.
That's awesome. Wendy, what's the purpose of life? Why do you think we're here?
Oh my gosh, that is such a hard question. But I really
Yeah.
think we're here to create connections. I think it starts with our families. And then if we're lucky enough, we get to create bigger and bigger connections. I have to say, I feel like some of the most fulfilling things and most productive things and most like give back things I've done in life have been through partnership. And that's either with my life partner or my work partners or, people I meet like you. So I think you really can create and collaborate through partnerships. So I think it's those people connections we form to create bigger and better things for the world.
I love that answer. I so believe that to be true. And in fact, I've got quite a few projects that I'm starting that are all about how to build more connection, because one of the things that I learned over a year of doing podcast is how disconnected people were. And it didn't matter how high up on the ladder you were. In fact, it seemed like the higher up on the ladder, the more disconnected that you become. So I so agree with that. And I really hope that we can put a focus on that more as we move forward as a culture.
Yeah, I think you see all this stuff about really successful people needing mental health breaks.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, everything is so go, go, go. And we really do need more connection.
Yeah. Well, we'll work on it together, okay? We're going to do it. Tell me about a piece of advice that you were given that served you well.
So I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I ever got that's really served me is to know that there's only so much Wendy bandwidth, right? Like I'm one of those people, and I think there's a lot of people out there. It's like you just keep trying to take on more and more and more and more and more. And you have to really remember what your not limitations, but that there's only so much time, right? Like there's no limits. It's just, you have to then piece up and prioritize. And I think I got that advice as a young woman, unmarried with no kids. And I don't think I really understood it and put it into practice until after I had my kids. And then I really feel like being a mom actually helped me become a way better manager of my own time and a way better manager of people as well.
Yeah, no, that's so true. When you become a mom, I think it really does heighten your requirements of prioritizing. I always used to say when I was in the advertising industry, which was long hours, I was either being a good mom or a good business person. I was having a hard time being both. But I would kind of switch off and on because you have to, like you said, you have to prioritize and pick. But yeah, no, that is great advice.
I know. But you know what that brings up, though, is there are times for everybody when you feel like I have all of these roles in life and I'm failing at all of them. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to feel that way. Yeah. And that the tide will turn, and then in some time you will feel like I'm crushing everything. And it's just, there are those cycles in life. That's kind of what I feel like I've learned, that there's those cycles where you feel like everything's going good, and then there'll be not everything's going so good, and you just have to climb out of those and keep pressing forward.
That's so true. That's great advice. Tell me, what do you think? We talked about it a little bit, but what do you think is the biggest issue that's facing our world today? I mean, there's so many of them, but...
There's so many. It seems like an endless news cycle of bad news, right? Mm-hmm. But I do think sustainability and the climate crisis is a big deal, just because it's going to affect all of us. Like it affects the place we live. Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of things start from there. And I think a lot of polarization that we're feeling in our country right now stems from, things like climate change. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if we can start to have a cohesive and collaborative conversation about sustainability and about climate, then maybe some of these other divisions will find themselves healing themselves. So
I love that. Will you lead that?
Oh, I am probably not the person. Yeah. I'm going
Let's get Doug to do that.
I know. Let's get Doug to do that. I'm going to make you a really great mascara, and hopefully that will help.
Yeah. Well, you're doing your part for sure. Tell me something that you used to believe, but you don't anymore.
So I used to believe that you shouldn't vaccinate your kids. And really COVID didn't change this for me. But my kids were vaccine free. And I ended up meeting this really interesting doctor in Fiji who kind of walked me through why maybe that wasn't right. And so I went back and did some more research. And then I actually changed my mind on it. So I think that's important to remember. It's not whether you believe in them or not. But I think my point in telling you that is just that it's okay to believe in something and then change your mind.
Yeah, I agree. No, that's good. That's a good example. And I think just being open-minded to the idea that continue to get information, right? Just because you feel like you've made a decision on something, as we grow, we continue to have new information, and just being open-minded about new information.
Yeah, don't be like a crotchety, grumpy person and be like, there's my line in the sand. Just be open your mind and listen to all points of view.
Yeah, good stuff. My son always is good at helping me with that. What's a goal that you've yet to reach?
I feel like I really want to have more time in the day for myself. And somehow I continue to just pack my days full until I'm like falling down at the end of the day. So I really would like to figure out a way to just relax and just have a little bit of like non-structured time in my day. I know that seems like a really small goal, but I think it could lead to bigger things.
I think it's certainly attainable.
Yes.
Well, you do have an awesome husband, Doug. He's kind of well known in these Orange County parts. 2 big boys.
Yes.
Is it Crash and Cruz?
I have Crash and Cruz. Yes.
That's awesome. I almost named my son Cruz too. We do have so many things in common. It's
Yeah.
so funny. Ours was after Cruz Reynoso, the Supreme Court, the California Supreme Court Justice.
Mine wasn't that cool. Crash was named after the character in Bull Durham. Because when I was pregnant with him, we were joking around, like my husband's last name is Collier, and we wanted a name another C name. We thought that would sound really good. And so we were joking like, oh, we could name him Crash from Bull Durham, but we weren't really going to do it. And then I was in New York with Doug. I was pretty pregnant, probably like 7.5 months, probably like the last trip you could take. And we're at this play, and right in front of us sit Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins, who are both the stars of the movie. And we were like, oh my God, it's a sign. We just have to name him that. And then when we had Crash, we were like, well, we need another great C name.
Yeah.
And we love Santa Cruz. So that's how we picked Cruz.
Oh, that's awesome. Do the boys like their names?
I think they like their names. Yeah.
I would imagine.
They're
that they would.
memorable.
Yeah, they're for sure good. So what can we expect next from Wendy?
Well, I think we can expect some more great Caliray products.
Yay.
I have so much good stuff coming for the end of 24 and 2023, or the end of 22, sorry, and all of 2023. So we're about to launch a new face primer.
Oh my gosh.
And it's great. It's a collagen peptide boosted. It's got niacinamide in it. It's super hydrating. It blurs out any little skin imperfections and just creates a nice pretty canvas for any skin tint or makeup you might want to wear. Or you can wear it by itself.
I'm so happy to hear that, because I was watching one of the tutorials and you have your bronzing oil mixed with a skin primer. And I'm like, wait a minute, what skin primer should I use?
Well, it's coming. Yes.
So it's coming.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Wendy. It was so awesome having you here
It was
today.
great spending time with you. I'm glad we got to do this
Me
after
too.
meeting you. It's just really exciting to get to spend a little more time.
And I'll be back for cocktail hour.
Okay. See you then.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Delphine Circle. Don't forget to subscribe. It's free and it will help us keep these incredible interviews coming your way. Here are 2 other episodes you may enjoy. I'm Delphine. Welcome to my circle.